Israel will finish Gaza. In late 2022, tension escalated between Israel and Gaza, rekindling concerns of a wider conflict. This video explores the recent war, its triggers, and the potential impact on Israeli-Palestinian relations. What events led to this volatile situation, and what does it mean for the future? The tension between Israel and Gaza is rooted in a complex history of political and territorial disputes. Gaza, a Palestinian territory situated on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea, has been at the center of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict for decades. The origins of this conflict date back to the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 and the subsequent displacement of a significant number of Palestinians. Gaza, which was under Egyptian administration at the time, experienced an influx of Palestinian refugees and became a focal point of frustration and grievances. Over the years, various issues have intensified the tensions between Israel and Gaza. One significant factor is the question of territorial control. Israel occupied Gaza along with the other territories during the 1967 Six-Day War. While Israel withdrew its military presence and dismantled settlements in Gaza in 2005, it still controls its borders and airspace, making it an area of contention. The status of Jerusalem, considered a holy city by both Israelis and Palestinians, is another source of dispute. The Palestinians seek East Jerusalem, which includes the Old City, as the capital of their future state. However, Israel considers Jerusalem its unified capital, causing ongoing disagreements and friction. Additionally, issues such as access to natural resources, the expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, and the blockade imposed on Gaza have further fueled tensions. These historical and political factors have created a lasting cycle of violence, mistrust, and insecurity between Israel and Gaza. Achieving a comprehensive and sustainable solution that addresses the concerns and aspirations of both sides remains a significant challenge for the international community and the parties involved. The recent conflict between Israel and Gaza was ignited by a series of escalating events, primarily centered around Jerusalem. Increasing tensions between Palestinian protesters and Israeli security forces, predominantly in the vicinity of the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, catalyzed the conflict. The violent clashes in Jerusalem were fueled by a combination of long-standing grievances and specific incidents. One such incident was the threatened eviction of Palestinian families from the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. The possibility of Palestinian families being forcibly removed from their homes in East Jerusalem garnered significant attention and prompted protest, exacerbating the already fragile situation. Furthermore, tensions were intensified by the convergence of significant religious and political dates, such as Jerusalem Day, which commemorates Israel's capture of East Jerusalem in the 1967 war. These sensitive moments often led to heightened emotions and increased potential for confrontation. The clashes at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, one of the holiest sites in Islam, resonated deeply with Palestinians and across the Muslim world, amplifying the already charged atmosphere. The Israeli security forces' use of rubber bullets and stun grenades, combined with the retaliatory actions of protesters, further escalated the confrontations. These volatile events in Jerusalem provided the trigger for a spiraling cycle of violence that eventually led to an all-out conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. Understanding the underlying factors and specific incidents that precipitated this recent escalation is crucial to comprehending the complex nature of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and working towards a lasting resolution. The escalation of tensions in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been a recurring and deeply concerning issue in the Middle East. In this particular instance, the situation rapidly deteriorated as both sides, Hamas in Gaza and Israel, engage in aggressive actions. Hamas, the ruling party in Gaza, initiated rocket attacks targeting Israeli cities, putting civilian lives at risk and violating international norms. In response, Israel launched airstrikes aimed at Hamas facilities and infrastructure in Gaza, seeking to halt these attacks and protect its citizens. This exchange of violence led to a significant intensification in hostilities, resulting in the tragic loss of life on both sides, including civilians, as well as extensive damage to critical infrastructure. The consequences of such escalations are devastating, exacerbating an already complex and deeply rooted conflict. International efforts are crucial to de-escalate the situation, promote dialogue, and work toward a lasting peace in the region, as the cycle of violence and suffering continues to take a toll on the lives of people in the affected areas. The international community swiftly responded to the escalating conflict between Hamas and Israel with widespread condemnation and calls for an immediate ceasefire. Numerous countries and international organizations expressed deep concern over the escalating violence, recognizing the dire humanitarian impact and the need to protect civilian lives. The United Nations in particular played a pivotal role by urging both sides to exercise restraint and advocating for a cessation of hostilities. Diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation gained momentum as mediators from various nations, including Egypt, Qatar, and the United States, as well as international bodies such as the United Nations, stepped in to facilitate negotiations between the conflicting parties. These mediators aimed to broker a ceasefire agreement and initiate dialogue to address the root causes of the conflict. International pressure and diplomacy are essential to prevent further loss of life and the destruction of critical infrastructure in the region. The hope is that these diplomatic initiatives will lead to a sustainable peace, but the complexity of the conflict and deep-seated grievances make the path to a lasting resolution challenging. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, with its recent escalation, had severe and far-reaching impacts on the civilian populations of both Israel and Gaza. In Israel, the indiscriminate rocket attacks launched by Hamas created an atmosphere of fear and insecurity. Israeli citizens had to frequently seek shelter, disrupting their daily lives and causing casualties. The constant threat of rocket attacks also took a psychological toll, leading to anxiety and trauma, especially among children and vulnerable individuals. In Gaza, a densely populated territory, the consequences of the conflict were devastating. Israeli airstrikes targeting Hamas facilities and infrastructure resulted in the widespread destruction of buildings, roads, and vital services like hospitals and schools. This extensive damage exacerbated the already dire humanitarian situation in the region, leaving many Gazans without access to clean water, electricity, and adequate health care. The loss of life was tragic, with both combatants and innocent civilians suffering. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza deepened with limited access to necessities, displacement, and a growing sense of despair among the population. The international community's attention is crucial in providing assistance, rebuilding infrastructure, and prompting and promoting long-term peace in the region to prevent such suffering from occurring. After enduring several weeks of intense conflict, a crucial turning point was reached with the establishment of a ceasefire agreement, facilitated by Egypt. This ceasefire represented a critical step towards ending the hostilities between Hamas and Gaza and Israel. The primary objectives of the ceasefire were to put an immediate stop to the violence, provide much-needed respite to the affected populations, and allow humanitarian aid to reach those in dire need. The recent conflict serves as a stark reminder that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains a central and destabilizing issue in the region, and ongoing international efforts are essential to promote dialogue, facilitate negotiations, and work towards a sustainable resolution that can bring lasting peace and stability to the Middle East. As this video comes to an end, the recent conflict between Israel and Gaza underscores the need for a lasting solution. However, the idea of finishing Gaza is neither a viable nor desirable approach for achieving peace. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content.